Welcome back, viewers. You are still tuned into Prime Live. I'm so excited to be joined by an incredible guest who is the founder of Think and Grow Rich Africa, which is a coaching and transformational development organization that seeks to ignite a paradigm shift across the continent of Africa. We are so privileged to be joined by Lerato Sithole, who is a dynamic founder who has made it her mission to inspire a new era for success by helping individuals understand and harness the immense potential of their thoughts and minds. And today we are so privileged to be able to delve into her incredible journey, exploring her vision for Africa, her leadership philosophies, and the principles that guide her work and her life. Good evening, Lerato. Thank you so much for joining us on Prime Life.
Good evening to you and the listeners. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to delve into this conversation because I'm so inspired by people who are dedicating their time, their spaces, and their energy to pouring into the African continent. I want to talk about your career because you have such a beautiful and extensive career that spans over 3 decades long, and you've had such significant achievements over this time. Can you tell us more about some of the key moments or the highlight moments for you through your journey that really led you to start your own development and transformational platform?
Yeah, the journey has been 3 decades, right? And I will say it was, the career has been a journey of molding, just like I was in a pot being cooked and prepared for this. But the one thing is, I actually didn't know that this is where I will end up. I thought that my calling, I thought where I belong is in the corporate. And I really enjoyed being there. I gave it my all, it was home. In 2016, I was at the peak of my career and all was going well. And if you do know, being in consulting, there's numbers, you chase numbers. I'd exceeded, by 60% but I just felt empty within, right? And I just sat back and said, but I'm supposed to be the most happy, the most, motivated person at this point, but I feel very empty. And I think that was a time for me to just step back and just look into where I am, who I am. I had a very good boss that allowed me to take a 3-month sabbatical. And in my plan of taking that sabbatical, I wanted to tackle 3 areas of my life: my spiritual life, my emotional life, and my physical life. And I did that, right? A lot of things to deal with emotionally, things that you keep on pushing to the back because you're busy, you're chasing a career. And spiritually, I also needed to deal with certain things. And this is when I laid my hands on the book, Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill, written in 1937. So Think and Grow Rich Africa is directly related to the book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. So I'll continue as you ask to just explain, because a lot of people will ask me, so how come it's Think and Grow Rich Africa? Because the book is Think and Grow Rich. Maybe I can just continue just explaining that. So it is Think and Grow Rich Africa because I am licensed to take the principles that Napoleon Hill wrote in his book. He writes about 13 principles of success, to take those principles and use them as a tool for me to work with Africans. So the stories in the book are about Americans that were successful in those days, the Henry Fords, the Woolworths, the Rockefellers. And I am saying that was Napoleon Hill. And what I've been blessed to have is to have that license as an African to speak about the Henry Ford of our continents, the Rockefellers of our continent. So I want to showcase those stories. But they shouldn't just be stories, but they should be stories that give information, that give transformation and a call to action.
I really, really love that. And I love how you talked about your journey from corporate to finding your true purpose. And that's what a lot of us struggle with in our lives, is finding purpose. Yeah. And a lot of us are not brave enough to take the step like you did to try and find, I'm built for something bigger and better than the 4 walls of this corporate environment, and that I have so much of potential to be able to do so much for the African continent and for the young African minds that do exist in our beautiful continent. Yeah. Something that is incredible incredible about you is that you are internationally recognized and you've done workshops all across the world. And your coaching strategies are some of the best in the world. What are some of those coaching strategies that you find effective for your mission for the African continent?
You know, my main focus is around purpose. So the first step that I take in the process that I take a client through is to get them to recognize their purpose, to get them on the path to define their purpose. And the starting point is, what do you want the most in life? Okay, I don't want to coach you now, but hope you have an answer. What is that one thing? That one thing that you want the most in life. And that's where we start, because this is where we can find what your desire is. And most of the time, what you want the most in life is not what you wanted last week, not what you wanted last year, but is what you wanted maybe since you were 5, since you were 7, and it just got clouded by life, by things, by activities, by what we thought was the thing that you really want. And then you get to a point in life, you're like, why am I not me? What's happening? What happened to me, right? Somebody said, when I grow up, I want to be me. Some people are like, when I grow up, I want to be me. So you actually get to find you, the person that you were created to be, that unique you that nobody else can do, but only you can do. So that's the uniqueness of my coaching. That's the uniqueness of what I do. If we find your purpose and you just walk in a path. And it's not a one-day exercise, it's a journey. And we need to get rid of the clutter that has clouded, the dust that has covered what exactly is your purpose. Now that is universal. So it's easy for me to speak at any platform, any cultural group, because everyone is born with the purpose within them. When you're born, you've got your fist like this most of the time, and in that fist lies in your purpose.
I mean, that's just such a beautiful visual. Anytime I see a little baby doing this, that is exactly what I'm going to think about. And I love the concept and the idea that it brings a lot of hope to everyone who's watching right now, is that we're all given that purpose. It's just going on that lifelong journey to find it. And what I like about what you said is your purpose can change as you grow, as your circumstances change, as you learn more. And that's why coaches and mentors are so incredibly important for you to be able to reach your full potential, because sometimes you can feel completely stuck in the spaces that you are because you are unable to see the vision for your future. And that's where mentors and coaches like yourself are so important. And coming from a corporate space, I mean, you were not just in a corporate space, you were in the big dogs of the corporate space. I mean, you've worked for the biggest and the best companies in Africa and in the African continent when it comes to corporate spaces. What have you learned in terms of leadership from your journey and from your experience? And are we doing enough to foster leadership within South Africa and particularly within young people?
Wow, that is, it's a very good question. In fact, I think it's very close to my heart. I started leading at the age of 27. I was asked to apply for this role, working for Eskom at the time, which was the best company to work for, I must say. And that was when my leadership started. And throughout my journey, one thing that has been, I think, cuts across my journey is making other leaders. When people come under my leadership, it's for them to find a better version of themselves. So, I always say, when you lead, you must look back and see who's following. Because if no one is following, then you are managing, right? You're managing a department, you're managing a P&L or income statement. But when you're leading, there are people who will follow you, even if they don't rely on you for their promotion, for their increase, and so on. But they follow you because you inspire them. And what I have learned is that that is the most important thing. I have learned that having a leadership role is not just a title, it's a calling. It is when you are given an opportunity to usher other people into their own purpose. Sometimes we hold on to it like it's a title, and if it's like that, then you want to outshine everybody, you want to be the loudest voice in the room. But when you're leading, you actually allow people who are by right better than you, because there's no way that you can have it all. But you surround yourself with much more talent, much better talent that makes you a complete good leader. That is what I have taken through. And I have had some of the leaders in my life that have actually done that to me. I mean, I've been blessed to have been a manager, a senior manager, being a partner, not just a partner, sitting in executive committees. Not only that, I also sat on the boards, local and global boards as well. So I have had the opportunity to have an exposure in all of that. But somebody believed in me. Someone held me by the hand, right? When I started leading, I had no degree. At 27, it took me 8 years to finish my degree. And that is because I got married young and I studied long time. 8 years, 5 children later, that's when I got my degree. But leadership started earlier on because it is more a calling than an educational outcome. Education is good, but there is more of it. That's your heart of being a leader. You know, you can have all different types of leadership style and so on, but the heart is what matters.
I really love that you've shared that, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your journey with us as well. I know it will inspire so many people, and I love the way you talk about leadership and how it's something that starts when you're young, but you're also being led when you are young. It's that first person to look at you and say, I believe in you, and I think you deserve this opportunity, and we all need those types of people in our lives. But something I also want to ask you about this evening is, what is the future for Think and Grow Africa? What can we expect in the future? And, you know, how can people get in touch? How can we get in touch with you? How can we connect?
Think and Grow Rich Africa is a big movement. It's actually bigger than an individual. My mission is to have 140 million Africans impacted by Think and Grow Rich Africa. And that is 10% of our African population. And I can't do that alone. I've got to work with partners locally in all the African countries. My license allows me to do the work in all 54 countries of our continent. So I need to get in touch with people from Morocco, from DRC, from Kenya, everywhere, Swaziland, everywhere where an African exists. And it cuts across as long as you're an African. So the big mission is to have 140 million impacted, but also to get Africans to know how do I put it? To know what to think about what they think about. I want Africans to think about what they think about. It's one of the lessons that I offer. It's one of the master classes that I offer. You know, just sit back and think about what you think about, because it is those thoughts that become things. It is those thoughts that move you and gets you to cross the river of change, that doesn't get you to wait for somebody to make the change for you, but for you to believe that the change is right inside of you. You think it into existence. Change is inside out, not outside in. I think we've gotten used to the outside in. Somebody owes you, you're entitled, you deserve. Maybe it's okay, but it doesn't come with sustainable change. It doesn't come with sustainable transformation. So I want Africans to start thinking about what they think about.
That's beautifully said and very powerfully said. Mindset has so much to do with your outcomes in your reality. And if you're sitting in a constant negative mindset, that is absolutely going to be your reality. Absolutely. Now, something before we let you go, I have to ask you. I know that we are so privileged to be able to have a coach like you this evening, and something that young people or even people in Africa struggle with is navigating those challenges and overcoming difficult circumstances. What advice would you share to them from your experience, from your journey, as well as from your vast knowledge as a coach? What is your best advice to people when it comes to overcoming challenges?
You know, we all have the power to overcome, right? And I'm going to go back to the whole concept of purpose, the whole concept of thoughts, right? We all have the ability to tap into that and really fight. But there is a principle in the book called Masterminds. Mastermind promotes that I can succeed by myself. I need you. We need each other. Every joint supplies. So one of the things is first discover who you are. If somebody told me when I was younger to know what my purpose is, I would have chosen the right job that aligns with my purpose. I would have made the right friends that aligns with my purpose. I would have spent time in places that aligns with my purpose. You know, so that definition of purpose doesn't have to wait for you to be 30 years after your career or to be 20 years in your career, but do it as early as possible. I coached some new students, graduates that come from university, and I said to them, don't go look for a job, just write your purpose and the job will come looking for you. In fact, it's not a job. Your calling will come look for you, and that calling will have a commercial benefit. We call it salary, but it's a commercial benefit of you fulfilling the calling, and you will fulfill it in an organization that aligns with who you are. And yeah, so you ask me, people can actually join the movement, can find out more about what we offer in Think and Grow Rich Africa on our website at www.thinkgrowrich.africa. If they can just go in there, sign up and look at the other master classes that we have and some of the conversations that we've had and conversations that we'll continue to have.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and that's some incredible advice for young people. I think we find it very difficult to navigate that working environment, especially when we enter. And considering the unemployment rates in South Africa and the lack of opportunities, what you've shared just now is incredibly powerful. But Lerato, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been such a delight and such a pleasure to learn from you and to share insight from you and to be able to have navigated your journey. And we really commend you on the effort that you have made to pour of yourself into the African continent and its people.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you to the listeners.
Viewers at home, that is Lerato Sithole, an incredible mastermind when it comes to pouring into Africa, as well as the space of leadership, development, as well as transformation. And if you would like to see more of Lerato, which I definitely do, please do reach out to her on her website. That's Think and Grow Reach Africa. You can definitely look out for them on the website for some of the masterclasses, as well as if you are interested in some coaching, which I think we all need a little more of. But on that note, viewers, it is time for us to head over to an ad break. We'll see you when we come back.